Go back to work and tell me there's something for God and country.
Oh,
That is a good one. When rumors started going around that Richard Kevin Harrison, better known as Rick Harrison, had been given a life sentence, Pawn Stars fans were shocked. Rick was known for being tough on business and having a huge amount of information on the show. All of a sudden, he was in big trouble with the law, something that no one saw coming. Stars kept people entertained for years by showing the interesting world of pawn shops, rare artifacts, tough talks, and the daily drama that happens in Rick Harrison's famous Las Vegas pawn shop. Now, though, Rick's TV career has taken a dark and surprising turn. But what did he do to receive such a harsh punishment? Follow along as we look into what happened in Rick's life to cause this big change and the specifics of this shocking case. Richard Kevin Harrison was born in Lexington, North Carolina, on March 22, 1965. He is a famous American businessman and TV host. He and his family moved to San Diego, California, when he was only 2 years old. That's where he spent most of his youth. Rick got epilepsy when he was 8 years old, which made him spend a lot of time reading books as a child. This helped him learn a lot about history, which later helped him in his career. Rick had a hard childhood. Because he had seizures, he missed a lot of school and finally quit in his junior year of high school. But this failure didn't make him less ambitious or less eager to learn. Instead, he focused on developing his own knowledge by reading a lot of books, mostly about business and history. Later, his encyclopedic understanding on Pawn Stars would show that he learned everything on his own. Rick started working with his father on different business projects when he was a teenager. He learned to really see what was valuable and real, which would help him a lot in his future work. Rick's girlfriend Kim got pregnant when she was 17, which led to their marriage. After 8 years of marriage, the young pair had 2 sons, Corey and Adam, before getting a divorce. Rick's family moved to Las Vegas, Nevada, in 1981. That same year, Rick's father, Richard Benjamin Harrison, also known as the Old Man, opened a gold and silver coin shop. The business grew over time and became the famous Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in 1989. Pawn Stars would film there for many years afterward. The Harrisons knew they could make more money in the pawn business, so they switched from a coin shop to a pawn shop on purpose. In the beginning, things were hard because Rick and his dad had to work long hours to build a name for themselves in Las Vegas. Rick had to deal with difficult customers and sometimes dangerous situations all the time. These events made him stronger and helped him get better at negotiating. By the early 2000s, Rick was famous in Las Vegas for knowing a lot about different kinds of collectibles and old things. People from all over the world came to the pawn shop because it was known as a great place to find unique and valuable things. Rick saw that his business could be used to make people laugh, so he started pitching the idea of a reality show about how the pawn shop works every day. Rick finally got a deal with the History Channel in 2009, after years of being turned down and keeping trying. The first episodes of Pawn Stars were based on the daily activities of the gold and silver pawn shop. On the show, Rick, his son Corey, Big Hoss Harrison, Richard Oldman Harrison, Big Hoss Harrison's father, and their friend Austin Chumley Russell, bought and sold historical things that were of questionable value. The show was a big hit right away, getting Rick from running a small pawn shop to becoming a TV star. His catchphrases, honest approach, and deep understanding of historical artifacts made him a fan favorite. As Rick talked to people who wanted to sell their things, his signature line, "The best I can do is," became famous. Rick demanded that Pawn Stars teach people something, which made it different from other reality.
ow.
Each episode had historical information about the things that were brought into the shop. Rick often gave a lot of information that showed how knowledgeable he was. A lot of people liked this method, which made the show one of the History Channel's most popular ones. Under Rick's direction, the pawn shop grew and became popular with tourists who came from all over the world to see the stars or even be on a show. Rick used his fame to write books, make personal visits, and even open a restaurant. Merchandise sales went through the roof. Rick became famous in a whole new way after Pawn Stars became a hit. He was on a lot of talk shows, in magazines, and at business events where people wanted to hear him speak. His rags to riches story touched a lot of people in the United States. People outside of the entertainment business respected him for giving honest business advice. Rick was the face of Pawn Stars and was known for being honest and good at business. He was the show's voice of reason, often stopping his son Corey from making big purchases or Chumley from getting into trouble. He and his father, the Old Man, respected each other because they had worked together for years. Before his father died in 2018, Rick showed that he was determined to honor his memory by keeping the business running the same way. There were good times and bad times in Rick's personal life when Pawn Star was at the top of its success. After his first marriage ended, he married Tracy Harrison. They were married for 27 years before getting a divorce in 2011. Rick got married to Deanna Burdick in 2013. Chumley carried the ring at the service, which was led by his Counting Cars co-star Danny Coker. His family life was mostly kept secret, but it was sometimes talked about on the show, which showed how committed he was to his family, even though fame and business had their demands. Rick opened Rick's Roll and Smoke BBQ and Tavern at Pawn Plaza next to the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop as an addition to his pawn shop business. He also co-wrote the 2011 book Deals, Steals, and My Life at the Gold and Silver, which was licensed to pawn and talked about his life and business mindset. Rick was always looking for new ways to grow his business and brand. He was the epitome of an entrepreneur. Rick had an amazing knack for finding value where other people might miss it throughout his work. People watched on Pawn Stars as he looked at everything from old cars and historical documents to current collectibles. He seemed to know a lot about a lot of things, but he often called in experts when he didn't know enough about them. This was a smart business move on his part because he knew the limits of his knowledge. On the show, Rick has bought and sold a lot of things. Some were really great deals, but some weren't so great. His knowledge of guns, watches, and things related to American history often led to good deals that turned small investments into big profits for the shop. A 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl ring, which he got for $2,600 but was worth a lot more, was one of his most well-known purchases. A group of Spanish gold doubloons found in the wreckage of a ship in 1715 was another important purchase. Shows that he is interested in both history and expensive metals. In addition to the good things that happened in Rick's life, there were also some bad things that happened because of the choices he made. In fact, his legal problems began in 2023 when federal officials searched his home in Las Vegas as part of an investigation that had been going on for a while. At first, the public wasn't told what the study was about, which led to a lot of guesswork online. Fans and even people who were close to Rick were shocked by the raid. Both Rick's house and the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop were searched by FBI agents, along with IRS inspectors and people from the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection. During the raid, employees and customers at the shop were briefly detained while agents took computers, documents, and a number of items from the store's stock. After the fact, Rick's son Corey, who was at the shop during the raid, said it felt like something out of a movie. According to witnesses, Rick stayed cool as agents led him out of his home. He did this even as neighbors took pictures with their cell phones, which quickly went viral on social media. As more information came out, it became clear that the police were looking into claims of a complex tax evasion plan, money laundering operations involving high-value items going through the pawn shop, and dealing in artifacts that were obtained illegally. It seems that the investigation began when financial institutions noticed some strange activities and former business partners made complaints. In the weeks after the raid, the History Channel stopped making Pawn Stars. They said in a short statement that they were keeping an eye on things and would make the right choice when they had more information. Even though the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop stayed open, there were a lot fewer customers because Rick was in trouble with the law. At first, Rick's lawyers strongly denied that he had done anything wrong, saying that the investigation was just a mistake that would be cleared up soon. David Marshall, Rick's famous Las Vegas lawyer, who is known for working with famous people, told the public that Rick had always run his businesses honestly and in keeping with all the laws. But as the probe went on, more and more troubling information came to light. Authorities said they found evidence that Rick was part of a complicated scheme to sell some historical artifacts privately for more than what they were really worth on the market while undervaluing them for tax reasons. Investigators also say that Rick bought stolen historical items through middlemen. These items included important historical papers and artifacts from museums and private collections. Court papers that were later made public say that the investigation was partly started by a former worker who had worked closely with Rick to get a number of expensive items. This person who told the police about Rick reportedly kept a separate set of books for transactions that he didn't want to show up on the official records. Rick was arrested, but the next day he was freed on bond and were set to go to court days later. He was charged with several felonies, including tax evasion, money laundering, dealing in stolen goods, and planning to traffic cultural artifacts that were gained illegally. David Marshall, Rick's lawyer, stated that Rick strongly denied all charges and would fight them in court. The court case that followed lasted almost a year, and Rick insisted he was innocent the whole time. But as more information came in, and former friends and co-workers testified against him, his situation became more unstable. The prosecution showed financial records, private messages, and statements from former workers who said Rick told them to change paperwork for some expensive items. They also showed proof that he had set up accounts in other countries to hide the money he made from very profitable deals. A set of text messages between Rick and an unknown supplier, talking about how to clean up the provenance of an 18th-century document that was thought to have been stolen from a university archive, was very strong proof. Rick is said to have talked about how to set up a sale so that it wouldn't trigger the need to report big cash transactions in another conversation. During the pre-trial hearings, Rick's public image stayed defiant. He went on a number of conservative talk shows and said that people were after him because of his political ideas and success. His fans came together to support him. They made Free Rick hashtags and planned protests outside the courthouse while hearings were going on. Many people were shocked when Rick broke the law because they thought he was the smart, honest businessman on Pawn Stars. The arrest record for Rick Harrison of Pawn Stars was just made public. Few people saw that he was much more cunning than they thought. The trouble he was having with the law showed a different side of him, but that wasn't the only surprise. Many people have quickly judged Rick based on what they've heard in the news, but it's important to remember that everyone needs help when they're having a hard time. Many loyal fans have formed support groups on social media to stress that Rick's teaching approach to Pawn Stars has made a positive difference in their lives and should be recognized, no matter what the charges are. One fan wrote, "Rick taught me to love history in a way that school never could. We need to remind him of the good things he's done." If Rick's work has touched you over the years, you might want to join one of these online support groups. But the judge made it clear that Rick's sentence took into account not only the financial crimes, but also the damage that he caused to historical and cultural assets by trafficking and stealing artifacts. During sentencing, the judge told Mr. Harrison, "You have presented yourself to the American public as a guardian of history, someone who values the stories behind objects and recognizes their importance to our collective heritage. In fact, though, you have helped steal from and destroy irreplaceable cultural sites in order to make money for yourself. This court cannot ignore the gravity of such actions." In the days following the sentencing, Rick's legal team filed an immediate appeal, arguing that the punishment was excessive and unconstitutional, given the non-violent nature of the crimes. They also requested that Rick be allowed to remain free on bond pending the appeal, a request that was denied, leading to images of Rick being led away in handcuffs dominating news coverage and social media. The reaction to Rick's conviction and sentencing was mixed. Many longtime fans expressed disbelief, suggesting that there must have been a miscarriage of justice. Others, particularly those from the academic and cultural heritage communities, applauded the severe sentence as a necessary deterrent. The lucrative trade in looted artifacts. Rick's situation has inspired an unprecedented wave of solidarity among his fan base. The Hearts for Harrison campaign has collected over 100,000 signatures petitioning for a review of his case, with supporters emphasizing the disproportionate nature of his sentence compared to similar cases. "We're not saying he shouldn't face consequences if he broke the law," explained campaign organizer Melissa Jenkins. "Every dollar toward his legal defense makes a difference." Corey has stated, "My father made mistakes, but he doesn't deserve to die. He deserves the chance to make amends." The History Channel moved quickly to distance itself from Rick, officially canceling Pawn Stars and removing reruns from its immediate broadcasting schedule. In a statement, the network expressed deep disappointment in Rick's actions and affirmed its commitment to the respectful and legal treatment of historical artifacts and cultural heritage. Despite his legal troubles, Rick's impact on the world of reality television and the pawn industry remained significant. Before his legal issues, he had successfully built a business empire that extended far beyond the pawn shop. His entrepreneurial spirit led him to open several restaurants and bars in Las Vegas, and he had plans for expansion in other cities. The Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, now managed by his son Corey Harrison, continues to be a popular tourist destination in Las Vegas, though visitor numbers initially dropped following Rick's conviction. Corey has worked to rebrand the shop, emphasizing transparency in all transactions and partnering with museums and educational institutions to promote ethical collecting practices. In an emotional interview, 6 months after his father's sentencing, Corey spoke about the challenges of preserving the family business while addressing the legitimate concerns raised during the trial. "We've implemented rigorous new protocol for verifying the provenance of every item we purchase," he explained. "What happened was wrong, and we're committed to being part of the solution, not the problem." Chumley, who had always looked up to Rick as his mentor and father figure,
has spoken publicly about his conflicted feelings. For the Harrison family, the focus remains on rebuilding their reputation and business while supporting Rick through the appeal process. Corey, now fully in charge of the family enterprise, has demonstrated business acumen that surprised many who knew him primarily as Rick's sometimes impulsive son on the show. The Harrison family has been overwhelmed by the outpouring of love and support from fans around the world. Your messages of encouragement have been a lifeline, Corey said in a recent press statement. He reads every letter sent to him and draws strength from knowing so many people still believe in him, despite everything. Rick needs your support now more than ever. The family has organized prayer circles every Sunday outside the pawn shop where loyal fans gather to show solidarity. If you can't make it to Las Vegas, the family encourages supporters to send letters, cards, or even photos of memorable moments from the show that brought joy to viewers. These small gestures make an enormous difference to a man facing his darkest hours. From a small pawn shop owner to a reality TV entrepreneur, and now a convicted felon serving a life sentence. His transformation from respected businessman to disgraced public figure demonstrates how quickly fortunes can change, especially in the unforgiving spotlight of fame. Cultural commentators have noted the almost Shakespearean nature of Rick's downfall. A man whose exceptional knowledge of history ultimately did not prevent him from making historical artifacts the instrument of his destruction. His story has become a cautionary tale about the dangers of success, the temptations that come with it, and the sometimes blurry lines between shrewd business and criminal activity. As this story continues to unfold, we'll bring you all the latest developments on this unprecedented case that has left the world of reality television reeling and family business fighting for its survival without its charismatic leader. In these difficult times, Rick Harrison needs all the support he can get. If you've been a fan of Pawn Stars and appreciate what Rick has brought to television over the years, consider sending your prayers, positive thoughts, and words of encouragement his way. The Harrison family has set up a website where supporters can leave messages that will be delivered to Rick in prison. Your kind words might make all the difference during this challenging chapter of his life. The address for sending letters of support is also available on the website, with the family noting that hearing from fans has been Rick's main source of strength during this ordeal. As one family statement put it, Rick has always appreciated the Pawn Stars viewers. Now more than ever, knowing you're still at his corner means everything to him.